Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jam Vishnu Padparam Sivaraja Gachara Stottara Shattis Divine Grace Abhayacharana Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jam Vishnu Padparam Sivaraja Gachara Stottara Shattis Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitya Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, text number 18. Sattvam Rajastama iti. Sattvam Rajastama iti. Nirgunasya gunastrayaha. Nirgunasya gunastrayaha. Stiti sarga nirodeshu. Stiti sarga nirodeshu. Grihita mayaya vibhaho. Grihita mayaya vibhaho. Sattvam rajastama iti. Nirgunasya gunatrayaha. Stiti sarga nirodeshu. Grihita mayaya vibhaho. Sattvam rajastama iti. Nirgunasya gunastrayaha. Stiti sarga nirodeshu. Grihita mayaya vibhaho. Sattvam rajastama iti. Nirgunasya gunastrayaha. Stiti sarga nirodeshu. Grihita mayaya vibhaho. Sattvam rajastama iti. Nirgunasya gunastrayaha. Stiti sarga nirodeshu. Grihita mayaya vibhaho. Word to word. Sattvam, the mode of goodness. Rajaha, the mode of passion. Tamaha, the mode of ignorance. Iti, all these. Nirgunasya, of the transcendence. Gunaha trayaha, are three qualities. Sthiti, maintenance. Sarga, creation. Nirodeshu, indestruction. Kihita, accepted. Mayaya, by the external energy. Vipuho, of the Supreme. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace abide in the Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Supreme Lord is pure spiritual form, transcendental to all material qualities, yet for the sake of the creation of the material world and its maintenance and annihilation, He accepts through His external energy the material modes of nature called goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport. The Supreme Lord is the master of the external energy manifested by the three material modes, namely goodness, passion, and ignorance, and as master of this energy, He is ever unaffected by the influence of such bewildering energy. The living entities, the jivas, however, are affected by or susceptible to being influenced by such modes of material nature. That is the difference between the Lord and the living entities. The living entities are subjected by those qualities, although originally the living entities are qualitatively one with the Lord. In other words, the material modes of nature, being products of the energy of the Lord, are certainly connected with the Lord, but the connection is just like that between the master and the servants. The Supreme Lord is the control of the material energy, whereas the living entities who are entangled in the material world are neither masters nor controllers. Rather, they become subordinate to or controlled by such energies. Factually, the Lord is eternally manifested by His internal potency or spiritual energy, just like the sun and its rays in the clear sky. But at times He creates the material energy as the sun creates a cloud in the clear sky. As the sun is ever increasingly unaffected by a spot of cloud, so also the unlimited Lord is unaffected by the spot of material energy manifested at times in the unlimited span of the Lord's rays of Brahmajyoti. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Krananjana Shalakaya Chaksharon Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Putale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Parikamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanshcha Shri Rupam Sakrachatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvitam Savadutam Parichana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamshta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Chikatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarabhishya Kripa Sindhyabhe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we have read so far in this chapter, the course of all courses, how Shukadeva Goswami in the end of the previous chapter referred to this conversation of in answering to Maharaj Parikshit's question about the creation. He referred to this, how Narad Muni approached his father Lord Brahma and first glorified him as the Supreme Person, but at the same time then raised this doubt of like, how come that you you yourself do meditation, do tapasya. So that's a bit confusing. Seems like there is someone else still. And so Lord Brahma started to answer in the last few verses. And so basically told, yeah, I'm like right away from the first verse he told that there's basically I'm simply, whatever I'm doing is simply by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. And then he explained how, yeah, everything is meant for Krishna, the Vedas come from him, meant to understand him, and all meditation, austerities, yajna, everything is meant for Vishnu, for Krishna. And in yesterday's verse then he explained in terms of creation now itself that it is I'll just briefly read it, it's a short text. So, inspired by him only, I discover what is already created by him, Narayana, under his vision as the all-pervading Supersoul, and I also am created by him only. So he's saying that, actually I'm not a creator at all. It's simply already done by the Lord, and he simply wants to give me credit for creation, so I happen to be the one who then gets to do that. In other words, the Lord, he's doing, as you know, the original primary, or how's it called, creation, sarga, and Lord Brahma is doing then visarga, like assembling whatever the Lord already created. As we know from, like Lord Brahma himself is born from the lotus flower coming out of the navel of Kabadakashaya Vishnu in the course of creation, and also all those 14 planetary systems, they're already there in their you can say like primordial state in the stem of the lotus flower, and Lord Brahma then simply manifested and also simply by, as he said, by the inspiration, by the instruction of the Lord. Obviously, otherwise, how could a jiva by himself have the intelligence to do that? And so that was yesterday's verse, and in today's verse he continues in that, in telling that, so how, like at least one aspect of how the Lord creates the material world, namely through his immaterial energy, more specifically through the three modes of material nature. And and the verse obviously tells that, that's how he creates and maintains and annihilates, but he himself is completely unaffected by those modes, of course, by the material energy. And those three modes, we know that the Lord also takes one of the many different incarnations that the Lord takes are the Gunavatars, the material, the qualitative incarnation of the Lord, and that is for creation, as we here see himself as Lord Brahma, for a mode of passion, and for annihilation, Lord Shiva, for the mode of ignorance, and then for maintenance itself, he himself does as Lord Vishnu. And we know the famous pastime in that regard of how the Bhrigu Muni was sent to test who is the supreme one of those three. Because those three Gunavatars, obviously, they are, in terms of, as a jiva in the material world, they are the supreme ones that you, because everything is running by those three modes, and they are the presiding deities. So naturally the question is then, but who, out of those three, who is the supreme? And so we know how Bhrigu Muni first went to Lord Brahma, and in order to test, he simply Lord Shiva, so Lord Brahma, he simply insulted in terms of that he didn't pay him the respect due to him as being his father and and supreme demigod as well here. But and Lord Brahma got got offended and out of his anger, or rather, he was able to control his anger, but he clearly showed that he got angry, and so Brigham Muni, but in that way could ascertain that the Lord Brahma is not the supreme. And so then next he went to Lord Shiva, who is the brother of him, because he's also Brigham Muni is also a son of Brahma. So, and with Lord Shiva Lord Shiva he is insulted by words. Lord Brahma simply by not paying respect. So with Lord Shiva who was very happy to see him, his brother immediately wanted to run to embrace him, and Brigham Muni rather stepped back and said, "No, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're such a dirty fellow, always hanging out with all those ghosts and hobgoblins and full of ashes and snakes and this and that." So he insulted him in this way, and Lord Shiva got very angry. After all, he's the Gunavatar of mode of ignorance, so sometimes he gets affected by that itself as well. So, and then we know only because Mother Parvati fell to his feet and pacified him that he didn't kill actually Brigham Muni. So in that way he knew also Lord Shiva is also not the supreme. And then with Lord Vishnu, how as he went there he committed an even more grievous offense, namely he went up to Lord Vishnu and kicked him right on the chest. And we know Lord Vishnu, he rather than getting offended, he even apologized and massaged his feet to atone for his offense of having such a hard chest and having had that he must have hurt his feet. And so in that way Brigham Muni saw that Lord Vishnu is the supreme, but more than that we also see that that he is not only not affected by anything, like that he is always fully Atmaram and perfectly transcendental, but more than that he even, because that you could have told if he simply would have, if he wouldn't have taken offense, just being peaceful and saying, what do you want, Brigham Muni or whatever, but rather he went a step further. He even wanted to massage the feet of the sage, and this shows that he's not only transcendental, neutral, but the Lord, he's a loving, merciful Lord. He unconditionally gives love. And like Srila Prabhupada many times in terms of Krishna's being not being affected by the modes and all of that, he gives like gross examples for basic understanding of like that just like a prison guard is, even though being in the prison he himself is not a prisoner, he's free, he just does it as his occupation. Or in terms of the Lord is like all that relates to him, the aspect as the super soul, so that he himself is not affected, and that also that he himself at the same time, although he's the overseer permitter, but that he's not responsible for our action as well, that he's like a judge that who, even though he gives the result, but he's not responsible for the result. And so all of that relates to the Lord as being the neutral, the super soul, in providing the facility for every living entity in the material world to live. But as we heard it was a relatively recent Prabhupada, I think, where Prabhupada explained it, but that the Lord, he cannot be just this super soul, just the order supplier for all the living entities, because like what's the point of that? he's the supreme personality of Godhead, so there must be more to it than just providing for the Jivas to do the nonsense. Rather, he's the supreme personality of Godhead, which includes that he has all the qualities in full and in perfectly, and like one of the most important qualities is that of being merciful and wanting, so which we see like in this pastime. And because Krishna, he's Atmaram, but what the only thing he wants is, as we know, he wants ecstatic love, loving exchanges with his devotees. And so in relation to that, still with the three Gunavatars, on the other hand, we know that Lord Brahma, he gets affected sometimes, not only in this pastime, but we know, for example, that one time that he gets bewildered by the illusory energy, even by his own daughter, that he wants to has lusty desires for her. Or another instance, which is, I think, must be in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where one of his first sons, the four Kumaras, when they approach him and ask with the question of how is it that although the living entities, they're all pure spiritual souls, so by nature they are part of the superior energy, how is it that they can even become affected by the inferior energy, by the Lord's external energy, and become completely entangled, engrossed in this inferior energy? So when they ask Lord Brahma like that, he straight away he admits that he is not in a state of being able to answer that somehow he's so busy in his tasks of creation and running the universe that he got affected by that he thinking himself the doer and not being fully on the transcendental platform. So and thus then he sends them to approach Hamsavatar, who then answers them. And it's also said in this way he also in a way separated Lord Brahma's pure spiritual intelligence from the contamination that he had at that time. And so in terms of it's a pretty amazing, important question actually, because it's how come that we are a part of the superior energy, but still we get completely controlled by the external, by the inferior energy in this material world. And as we know, the reason for that is that yes, we are superior in quality. We are like we hear today also that we are one in quality with the Lord, but we are very, very tiny. We're way inferior in quantity, and that also has to be considered. And that's how, famous examples of just like a spark is effulgent only in the presence of the fire, but as soon as it goes away from this fire, it has no glow at all. It just dies out. And in the same way, we can exhibit our superior quality of being part of the spiritual energy only if in the presence of the Lord, in the presence of the fire of the sun. And whereas on our own we are just too tiny, we become as if we would be part of the inferior energy of the external energy. And we see that in many aspects, even like literally all the living entities in the material world, we identify with the temporary body, gross and subtle, and So we even think ourselves part of this energy. That's how powerful this external energy is, that he gets the spiritual energy to think themselves part of the inferior energy. And so, as we know, so how can we be part of so how can we conquer it if we are superior in quality but inferior in quantity? And we know that's only possible by surrender unto Krishna, like Krishna tells, Devi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya, that this divine energy of mine, it's very difficult to overcome. And also in divine energy, like in today's purport, also Prabhupada said that it's the material energy. It's on the one hand, it has got nothing to do with the Lord, he has got nothing to do with it. He doesn't, he's simply fully always situated in his spiritual energy and takes pleasure only in the internal spiritual energy. So from his viewpoint, there is not even external energy. But at the same time, it is connected with the Lord, and in that way, like in this verse, Krishna himself uses the word the Daivi, that it is divine energy of mine, being still in connection with me, being under my control ultimately. And then second part of the verse we know that he tells that only by surrendering unto him is it possible. So Deviyesha Kunamaya Mamaya Turataya Mamivaye Papatante Maya Metam Tarantite. And so in that way, as soon as a jiva surrenders unto the Lord, unto his devotees, then we can realize our superior energy, and then no matter where we are, even in this material world, be situated in the spiritual energy. And then the third of the Gunavartas, Lord Shiva, as we in the pastime itself see that being in charge of the mode of ignorance, that he sometimes can, like he's called Ashutosh, that he very easily gets placed, that he's like most merciful in the sense that he even accepts worship and as his devotees, even like the lowest living entities like ghosts and demons and everyone. And also very easily gives benedictions, but at the same time he also easily gets angry. So that's the aspect of him becoming influenced as well still by the very mode that he is presiding over. And then also the pastime, of course, we know with Mohini Murti, where the Lord himself bewilders Lord Shiva, who is, although the greatest Vaishnava and famous for his being completely transcendental, still got bewildered by the Lord taking the form of a woman whom he ran after madly, and even though his wife was right next to him, Mother Parvati, and all of that. And with Lord Shiva also, we know that how does Krishna, or more specifically than Mahavishnu, how he is never in touch with the material energy, but still only by his glance the whole material creation can take place, and we know nothing works at all without the Lord's touch. And this very glance, as we know, that's why another name of Lord Shiva is Shambhu. That is Lord Shiva. And in terms of, so that Krishna, he, as we hear in today's verse, he takes, even though himself he has nothing to do with the material energy in the sense that like the example, famous example Prabhupada here gives as well, again, is with the sun, that it's like for the sun, there's simply, from the perspective of the sun, there's simply the sun itself, it's sunshine. The there's only light, whereas but still by the same sun, by its drawing water from the ocean, it creates clouds as well. And the living, and we on Earth or on other planets, then when we look up to the sun, sometimes we can't even see the sun because clouds are in between. So we get covered by clouds, our vision of the sun, but for the sun, it doesn't matter if there's clouds or not. It's not affected by it. And the same way, for Krishna, it's all light, like the example was also given with the hand from his perspective, it's only light, whereas on the backside then there is shadow, but he's not affected by the shadow. And whereas still for the Jivas he provides this cloud, this Mahatattva cloud, covering a portion of his bodily effulgence of the Brahmajyoti. And simply, and why? This shows also his mercy, that because we know on the one hand, like why does he even do it? And I mean, he doesn't take pleasure in the material energy, like it can't even be him being spiritual. So he simply does it to provide the conditioned souls the facilities to use the free will in whatever way they want. In case of conditioned souls, as we know, that we want to exploit the material energy, we want to think ourselves masters, and in that way actually we are simply being kicked by the very material energy, simply puppets. As we know, there's a nice picture in Bhagavad Gita of the three modes, being that we are tied by like strings or ropes to them. Like we know another name of the modes is, the Sanskrit name is gunas, and one definition of that is that of rope, because we are simply bound by the ropes of the material modes, and which simply drive the conditioned soul who is running under the material energy to do whatever different activities, and their whole mentality to how to think, how to feel, and still the Jiva thinks himself so independent and thinks that these desires, these feelings, to come from himself, although it's simply like one time mode of passion hits, that suddenly you feel like you want to do sport, or you want to so many different activities, and mode of passion, and then another time suddenly you're tired, or you just want to forget everything, just take intoxication, and so things like that. We're simply dictated by the modes, as long as we think ourselves independent of the Lord. And but so as I mentioned before, the Lord, he's like a loving parent who wants to give full facilities to his children, and because of course we know, like, why is there this free will? Why can we be so foolish to wanting to forget Krishna and thus suffer so much here? Because otherwise there's no meaning to free will, and without free will there's no real love. But so at the same time, even though giving those facilities, we know that Krishna, he doesn't desire for us to come to the material world and to suffer. He all the time, as you know, even as the super soul, he's always looking out for us to turn back to him again, and anxious for us to return. Like Krishna Nityananda Prabhu yesterday mentioned also that the Lord is much more eager for us to come back than we can ever be. And because after all, like, of course, we foolishly think that yes, we we become happy here, and we can do so many things in this material world. But of course, Krishna, he knows right from the start that we're only gonna suffer, and so it's in one way. If you think about it, it's like from our side, through our envy and our foolishness, that we make the Lord go through like very difficult situation, in the sense that like we actually, by our misuse of independence, we force the Lord to, although He loves us unconditionally, to send us into like we know material world is compared to prison, like or hospital, or like, because in terms of prison, obviously, because we are then simply fully controlled by material energy, and as you said, driven by the three modes, and always facing the three miseries of material existence and everything. And in terms of hospital, because at the same time Krishna of course knows that where we actually belong and where we actually can be happy, which is in the spiritual world, in His association. So he also has inbuilt already right from the start, we know Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that that He created the process of yajna, and that he gave the Ved, we know He, by breathing out, He gave the Vedas, so He gave all the knowledge and all the facilities immediately, along with the facility to misuse our independence, also the facility to return to Him, at least slowly, by, we know, through terms of yajna, if you do it just for kamakanda, to fulfill material desires, then very slowly you can become purified to at least get some knowledge of Vishnu, and eventually, if you're by association of devotees, one day to become a devotee and go back to Godhead. But yeah, that's something for us to keep in mind, like that we are the ones who make it, in one sense, make it hard for the Lord also, emotionally, can say. And similarly, even devotees, just like the Lord, although He Himself has no desire or has not even to do anything with this inferior energy, with the modes and everything, still He does it out of mercy. Similarly, the devotees that He sends, they also, even like in case of Paramahamsas, like Srila Prabhupada, we know that they, out of love, out of compassion, they also go take the role of a lower stage in that of Parivrajikacharya, to preach, to give them mercy, and also then more specifically we can say that also giving mercy of devotees is also includes then not only to be able to preach, to reach out to conditioned souls, but even then within devotee community, we need then always the guidance of spiritual masters and of the authorities, and in that responsibility many times they have, although they themselves, they are elevated, they are blissful, and would simply, from their side, simply want to engage in Krishna Katha and in their service more and more, but out of their compassion, still they have then sometimes to go to a lower level, you can say, by chastising the devotees that they are mentoring or whatever, and like we know, famous example, the spiritual master sometimes has to shows the side soft like a rose, and at other times strong, heavy like a thunderbolt. And the thunderbolt is, in a sense, it's even more compassionate, because that is even great austerity for someone to be like to show almost like anger or show like a lower. I mean, it's not a lower nature for them but in a to show such a side, although they wouldn't want to do that. So so that's one aspect of the mercy of the devotees as well. Okay, if there's any quick question or comment. Yes, bro. Good question. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure. I can only tell from what my understanding would be, is that the three modes. I mean, they're not separate from the material energy, because there is only spiritual energy, marginal energy, and material energy, and so three modes are part of the material energy. And in terms of of the personalities, how like so we said the Gunavatars, that they are for those three modes, but they're just presiding deities. They are not like they even get influenced by the modes themselves. So they're not equivalent to the modes. And in terms of Maya, with the personality Maya Devi, I don't. I mean, it would make sense that she is controlling the modes, because she is presiding over the whole material energy. If anyone has other comment. And the first question was what the modes are. And like, can you be more specific? Or? Well, they're like the three varieties of material nature. How it's kind of like three basic colors, and then by their interaction and so in different ways that all the variety comes, right? So we know, the qualities of mode of goodness and passionate ignorance. You know that, right? From like Bhagavad Gita, we learned that in 14th chapter, and also in terms of then in terms of activity and knowledge and all of that in the 18th chapter. And in some way or other they came many times. You know that basic things of goodness, that it's that of when real knowledge can only be had by someone who is in the mode of goodness, and happiness and peacefulness and all of that. And then passion is that for activities, wanting to create, like we see in the case of Lord Brahma, and wanting to enjoy, being active, and ignorance instead of inactivity, of wanting like sleep and intoxication, forgetfulness. Yeah, so those basic things. I'm sure everyone knows. Okay, thank you. Kantarachima Bhagavatam ki.